Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I'll be making a video about the do's and don'ts of planning a public relations campaign. When you're creating a campaign, the biggest thing that you're going to want to focus on, and one of the most important things that you have to do to ensure a successful campaign, is to do your research. That's number one. When you're doing research to plan a public relations campaign, you often research things like your audience, information about the company you're working with, and also you have to do your research on what tactics work best for each audience. Research is very important because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, you won't reach your audience effectively, and that basically means that you're not reaching them at all. One big thing in marketing is that if you're trying to reach everyone, you'll reach no one. So doing your research is a very important part. The second do would be to know that audience that you just did your research on. So you should always create what's called an audience persona. And basically an audience persona is you give a person, your ideal client, a fake name, a fake job, a fake car, everything about them you create in your head, because at the end of the day, you need to know who you're talking to. Knowing your audience will help you a lot when planning a public relations campaign. The third thing that you should do is to always allow yourself to think outside the box. So oftentimes we feel like when we're planning PR campaigns that things are stale, they're overdone, and that at the end of the day, it's something we've all seen before. So something really important when planning a PR campaign is to think outside that box. Allow yourself to be creative. Instead of trying to work at an office or at a desk in front of a computer, go out to the bar, grab a drink with your friends, and start bouncing ideas off of each other. You could always spend time outside. Wherever you think best, it's always important to try to get your ideas there, because thinking outside the box will eventually lead to a better campaign. Now for some of the don'ts of planning a public relations campaign. The first don't would be to act like you know all the answers. At the end of the day, when you're working with a client, you're learning more about them and about everything else as you're doing it. So when you're planning a public relations campaign, you can't act like you know all the answers, because that won't get you anywhere. You have to be humble and you have to do your research in order to plan a successful campaign. The second don't of planning a public relations campaign would be to forget to create SMART objectives. SMART objectives are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-oriented. This means that your objectives should always have a specific thing in mind that you want to accomplish. They should be able to be measured. They should be achievable within a certain amount of time, and they should always be relevant to your audience. Without SMART objectives, your goals and your clients' needs won't be reached, because at the end of the day, you won't know exactly what you're going for. The third don't is to put the client second, and that would mean putting you and your ideas and your business first. At the end of the day, the client should always come first, and this means doing your research about them. This means doing what they want. At the end of the day, even if that's not something that you necessarily agree with or suggested, they always need to come first, because if the client's happy and you listen to them and you listen to their wants and needs, their happiness is what dictates your relationship with them. So after planning a campaign for them, and while you put them first, this will ensure that you have a successful relationship with your client.